All right, friends, welcome back to the New Jersey High School Strength Coaches Podcast. I'm with my buddy, Paul Collodi. I'm Zach Evanish, and we are powered by the National High School Strength Coaches Association. Make sure that you join our Facebook group. And for resources and our sponsors, you can go to nhssca.us. You can learn about membership. You can learn about how we educate, equip, and empower other high school coaches running the weight room. And you could see the sponsor page, which lets you know basically who supports us and who we go to for upgrading a weight room, building a weight room, software, technology, food, you name it. It's just great people. So nhssca.us is our website. We're a nonprofit. Please check us out and go beyond just being part of the Facebook group. That's, be a legitimate member and possibly see if your, athletic department or booster club can sponsor you to become a member, because there's a lot of great resources inside the members area that most people just like they stay in the Facebook group, right, Paul? But
Yep.
you get inside that membership area. I pulled up stuff on fundraising, starting a program from scratch, and it's been super, super helpful. So that's it, my bro. Today we've got our buddy Coach John McKenna coming on. Was John our first state director?
He was the Northeast Regional Director, so he was in charge of the whole East Coast from Virginia up.
Yeah, that's bigger than Tony Soprano then.
So he needs the golden tracksuit.
So he would be, who was bigger than Tony Soprano? It was they did the movie the Irishman, right? I watched it
Yeah,
in the
but I didn't see
beginning.
that. I didn't see the Irishman.
Listen, people are going to think all I do is watch TV, but let's just clear the air. All right.
Well,
I barely watch TV, but when COVID first hit in March, my private gym was shut down, schools was shut down. So I got to watch some TV. So I just want to let the people know that I'm not like a big TV guy.
well, I'm telling you right now, I I, I don't know what's going on in this world, but the fact that I didn't know about the Equalizer,
Yeah.
and after the other day, I was embarrassed that I didn't watch it. So I went and I rented it. I'm telling you what, Denzel is one bad man in
Dude,
that movie. I'm telling you, I
I know. I secretly want to be him.
I love the watch. I
Yeah.
almost feel like that. Now I'm going to be like that in the weight room. I'm going to set my watch. And,
Yeah.
all right, let's go set up the bars. Ready, set, go. 30 seconds.
16 seconds. You just and then like his eyes zoom in on everything, and he doesn't use guns. It's all with his hand or
Yep.
whatever is surrounding him. I've always loved vigilante movies because it's just you stand for the good. And I think the original vigilante movie was when we were kids would have been Clint Eastwood,
Clint
right?
Eastwood. Yeah.
Was that Dirty Harry?
Dirty Harry, the
He had the
original.
gun. He had the
Under the
big gun.
boardwalk.
Right,
Yeah.
under the boardwalk. He had the big gun. Denzel doesn't use a gun. That's what makes it even more like beast. I mean, I would like to get Denzel on this podcast.
Right. Maybe I'll work on that. I know
Yeah,
a couple guys.
I know some people who know some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so what, we got Coach McKenna coming on board. I met Coach, I think I don't think I even owned my warehouse yet. So I was training people out of my garage.
Hmm.
And he had purchased a kettlebell DVD that I made with my buddy Jason C. Brown, who's in the Philly area, Kettlebell Athletics. And we made several kettlebell DVDs. The first one was called Kettlebell Training for Sport. So it was basically, strength and conditioning and power training with kettlebells.
Hmm.
Then we did one called Kettlebells for Combat. And so John reached out to Jason and then myself, because he was down, basically he was 45 minutes from each of us, and he was managing a athletic / racket club, like a sport club. And he brought us in to do a continuing education seminar. This is like 2004, maybe, for his staff, for the coaches. He was also part-time at Notre Dame Prep. And when I first visited Notre Dame Prep, he tells me that the weight room's in a bomb shelter. And I was like, what? This is amazing. And so we're talking, 16 years ago, he had hammer strength equipment, he had the jammers. He was, ahead of his time. So I want to find out what he did in those early days when maybe he didn't have the equipment and whatnot. And being in a bomb shelter, it's pretty amazing. He had tractor tires outside for tire flipping. He had a sand pit, just open minded, which I think is, what do you think about that? A coach who's so open minded, he doesn't say, I'm this kind of coach. I'm a Olympic lifting coach. He's everything. He's what I say is he's for the kids. Period. End of story.
That's exactly how I would define them. And the connection, we talk about it all the time as high school coaches, building those connections, not only with the kids, but with the families and the community. And to me, that's Coach McKenna. You walk around anywhere in Ewing or Trenton, that area, you say his name, and chances are he's trained with somebody that you're talking to. And the fire department asks him to come and train the fire guys, and he'll do it. He's kind of like you. He's worn so thin, but he'll find that time to do that, and just to figure out a way to get it done. And again, it's using logs. He's got those giant logs. He told me the story that one of his former athletes worked for the Department of Public Works,
Right.
and they were cutting down old trees and stuff like that, or the
Yes.
poles.
Telephone poles.
Yeah, and they were donating them to him. So he
Yeah.
has them now and there, and I'm like, he has such a good community feel, and really, it doesn't matter what he does, and he does great stuff, with all his lifts, but the kids are bought in, and they're working 100% for him, and if that's the deal with the kids, they're going to get better, hands
Man,
down.
yeah, and we could go for days talking about all the good things he's done. So I'm going to tell you a story. When I opened up my private facility in Manasquan, I had told Coach about how I reached out to all these other coaches, especially local. A big reason why I opened in Manasquan is because when I moved here, I felt this community tight knit.
Mhm.
And I went to all the stores in the town and told them I live in town and I've opened up a small business to train the kids in town. And I gave them flyers to post on their windows because I would see all these stores would put up posters. I go to the Dairy Queen that I would take my kids to like almost every day. They're like, nah, I don't, we don't really can't do that, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'm here like every day buying ice cream for my kids, their friends. Okay. Go to the pet store. I buy stuff from that pet store all the time. They hang it up like when I'm there, then it's gone the next day. I email every sport coach, the guidance counselor. It's after Hurricane Sandy. I volunteer free training for any athlete whose home was affected from the hurricane. I can't even give it away in town. I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. I'm like, holy crap. The town I live in, the town I'm raising my kids in, the town that I wanted to open a gym and to give to these people, I can't even give it away. And so coach brings some like 30 something football players to my gym to like christen the gym. And he shows up, cars, trucks, telling you like an army of his athletes. And they just crushed. I have it on video. I mean, they were flipping tires, we're doing calisthenics, we're deadlifting, and they brought this intensity to my gym that the current athletes had not seen or experienced. And every time I do this fundraiser, I only did not do it last year with COVID. Every year I do a fundraiser for a military foundation and a cancer foundation. Guess who brings the most people? Coach McKenna.
Yeah.
What the one year, man, I can't tell you, he must have had half of the people there. We had over 100 people in my gym, and we had two people from the local town football team, and it was for the football coach in town with cancer. And they're like, "Where's?" I hate to say it, but it was really heartbreaking. And they're like, "Where's the Manasquan kids?" So right there, my bad. There was four kids, and then Coach McKenna drives an hour with like 50. But you know what? You can't give up. You can't. You have to find the people who are open-minded, the people who are willing to support, who want to be around you. I think as a coach, you need that grit and toughness, you know? You need grit. What's something, Paul, for you that you've had to like emotional stress as a strength coach that you had to overcome and experience?
Oh, one of them was this year. One of our really, really strong weight room athletes passed away this winter. And she was in our leadership group with Jeremy Boone. Um, she was one of those athletes that showed up and made sure her teammates showed up. And I remember the last leadership meeting we had, we were talking about just guiding principles. What one daily guiding principle you have? And I said, who wants to be first? And there's 20 kids on this Zoom. And she opened her mic right away and said, prove your worth.
Oh,
And then shut her mic off. And I said, I'm not going to let you go with that. You got to tell me what that means to you. She says, opens her mic again, didn't even hesitate. She says, whenever I show up on the field or in the weight room, I want to make sure that my teammates know that I'm doing everything I can for them.
I love that.
And I'm like, holy cow. And one of the hard things when the day after she passed away, we were still in COVID times, but we got her lacrosse team and her field hockey team all came into school, and we just had a little, just a sit down and talk about, how fragile life is, and how we got to keep moving on. That was a tough one. And, it was kind of one of those things where everybody came to the weight room after that, and then people are starting to kind of slowly, move away. And I want to keep building on that momentum. So that's a hard thing to do, is to keep her memory going and keep that momentum going with those teams.
Right, because it's so heartbreaking. It just it crushes your heart. We're so kind of like held back right now according to like governor's orders, and there's like, you could do this during a phys ed class, but then you can't do that during, an after school strength and conditioning activity. And these kids need the weights. They need the camaraderie. They need the challenge that makes them feel mentally, when we went back to school in the fall, I took a group to the weight room. And then when we left, I heard the kid walking back. He's like, man, I was in a bad mood this morning. I was pissed off. He's like, I'm in a good mood now. Yeah. And I know why he was in a good mood, because I make sure we get a good pump. And right this year, I was thinking about the programming as I was walking through the supermarket this morning. I was like, I'm going pretty much bodybuilding. I'm doing a lot of 5x5 and then 3x10, because I see the kids. I don't see the kids. I'm not doing a whole lot of this performance, 8 sets of 3, 10x2, control, eccentrics of 5. The kids are on and off. We have to do work that's building muscle on them. And then that blood flow puts them in a good mood.
Yeah.
And they need it. I mean, they need it. Our friend Coach McKenna is ready to enter the Zoom call. Are we ready for him, bro?
Yeah, we got to get the secret knock going.
This is episode 3 of the New Jersey High School Strength Coaches Podcast. Here we go. The man, the myth, the legend, Coach McKenna. Here we go, buddy. All right, here we go. Coach McKenna, put the video on, sir. Yes, sir.
There he is.
All ready to go.
Look at that handsome devil.
Oh, yeah.
What we do, Coach, is before we start interviewing our guest, Paul and I, kind of chat for like 10, 12 minutes. We don't want to hype you up right now. You'll have to go back and watch. You'll hear all the good stuff we said about you, man, because we love you, buddy. You're an amazing guy.
Thank you.
How's everything going? Are you guys in school? Are you virtual? What's going on?
We're half and half, but like we just came off. We were out for a week because we had some theater arts people that had the COVID.
Yep.
And so now we've been out for a week. Now we're back in. and we're half and half. And it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do because you got to write two different schedules. I got to take care of the kids that are out for a week and the kids that are in for a week, and the scheduling and everything. But it's working well. You know, we're still getting our kids and we're getting everything done.
Of course, you always get it done. There's no denying that. And
Paul, are you out now?
he's out.
I'm quarantined right now, but school is still, we're A, Monday and Tuesday, and then Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
Paul, would you like to ask Coach McKenna the first question?
Well, Coach, first of all, how are you feeling? How are you getting through this? You yourself?
I'll tell you what, I'm doing really well. I'm being very careful because, you know, I'm at that age, high age. I'm an old guy. I've had some heart issues and everything. And, I've taken all the precautions, but I'm not going to run scared. You know, I'm doing what they tell you to do. I still have groups in here. We don't have groups of more than 33 in here. And I keep my distance, but I feel good. I actually feel better than I have in a long time. I've lost some weight. But I'm doing good. This has challenged me, you know, and I think it's challenged everybody. And I think we all like a challenge, you know, and I think I've lived up to it. And it's been pretty good. I'm doing well, though.
Awesome.
Nice.
Zach, can I keep going?
Go for it.
Coach, when I first met you, I want to say it was probably close to 10 years ago. Nick took me down into the bomb shelter. We were there at a scrimmage, and the first thing that stood out for me about Coach McKenna was the connections you make, not only with your athletes but with the community and the staff. And how did you grow that? How did you get that going when you first got to Notre Dame?
Well, one of the things when I first came to Notre Dame, I was a police officer for 22 years, and I got hurt on the job. And I'd always done the strength training and coach football over at Pennsbury High School. And when I came here, I got some real good advice from a guy named Chappie Moore, who was our head football coach here. And he said, just don't be a meathead strength coach. He said, get involved in the building. And I did. And I got involved in the community. I was the first coach to go on we have a religious retreat on Kairos. I was the first coach to go on that. And I got involved in the community. And I love people. I love being around people. And that's just the way it is. Everything we do down here is centered around God and goes from there. But it's hard work down here. You know, you guys know me well enough. I just believe that we've gotten soft, and I'm not going to let that happen down here.
Awesome.
Good. So, Coach, before you hopped on, I was sharing with Paul how you and I met close to 20 years ago, and how you were really ahead of the curve. You know, the first time we met in person, you had, you know, brought myself and Jason C. Brown down to a athletic club that you were managing to do a continuing ed, like in service for your coaches. We did kettlebells, sandbags, body weight. We're talking 16 years ago. You know, you were very ahead of the curve. You were also at Notre Dame at the time. And then the first time I went to Notre Dame in the bomb shelter, you had hammer strength equipment. And I just remember feeling like, wow, this guy is so far ahead of what, you know, quote unquote normal is doing. What did the weight room look like when you first got there with regards to equipment? What did that kind of like foundation / baseline look like? Because there's a lot of coaches who might have not enough equipment, not great equipment. So I'd love to hear, what was that first setup like for you in the weight room?
Well, the first time they brought me down the weight room, I had to run home and take a shower. It was disgusting. And there is no equipment here, with the exception of the old pec deck that I have. I have one of the old Nautilus pec decks.
Wow.
I love, but it was broken. So I had to bring a Harley guy in, a Harley dealership, to fix the chain on it, get it to work and everything. But I was blessed because when I was the strength coach over in Pennsbury, and I don't know if you guys know that my college roommate was a guy named Al Johnson.
Yeah.
Been a college coach for years and just took me under his wing till I met Dick Hartzell. That's how I used to go to West Virginia all the time and do clinics, out to Ohio State and do clinics. And Hammer Strength used to have a building in Cincinnati, Ohio that had all their equipment. They used to have a meeting once a year and they would bring all their big coaches in, Boyd Embley, Joe Ken, all them. And Al would always bring me along.
Nice.
And in the beginning, I was just like a sponge. I would just take anything in. I would listen to these guys all the time. And then it got pretty neat because then they would want to start hearing from me of where I was coming from a high school level to where they were at and everything. And then we've got to be good friends. And that went on for a good 10 years. But one of the things that, and equipment wise, Hammer Strength and Powerlift used to be together. And they helped me out a lot. One of the good things we did here at school, we didn't buy cheap. And at first, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to buy the cheapest thing. And I said, look, you'll be replacing it next year. Mm-hmm. So we bought racks. My racks that I have now are the ones I bought 20 years ago. The hammer, the jammers I've had for years.
Yeah.
And the equipment lasts. But one of the things that I think that, and I don't know why, but when I saw an idea that I thought would work for the school, I was willing to go out, and I just didn't do it. Now, we didn't have the internet like we have now, and that's how I found you. I found you, and then I invited you down. I had taken a leave of absence from here because at the time I was doing a lot of combine work, Gary Braxton, guys like that, and that's why I was down in Cherry Hill. And they wanted to have their trainers, trained and everything. And I looked for the best I could find. And at the time, and you still are, you and Jason and Pamela came down and you ran a great clinic. And that's what I got. If I was going to do the bells, I wanted to do them right. And you were a big help.
Well, Paul and I shared the story, or I shared with him the story of when you brought the first crew of guys to my Manasquan location, and how my initial thought was that I'd be training every kid in this town. And I remember sharing with you what a struggle it was to have nobody from town. And sometimes even within your own school, you don't connect with every coach for one reason or another. What was it like in the beginning for you as a new strength coach at Notre Dame Prep, with any struggles with regards to trying to help a team, but the coach kind of didn't, buy in just yet? How did you build that up?
Oh, one of the big things I do, Zach, is that I had to learn the hard way. I used to be that coach that if you had a team in here and 5, 6 guys didn't show up, maybe they were going to another trainer, maybe they just didn't show up, I would be more upset about that, and I would take away from the guys that were here. And I finally, one day at home, I just was sitting around saying, you know what? If they don't want what I have, too bad. Go away. I'm gonna center all my energy on the people that are here. And I think that was the key, because I think what I did is I took care of what I had here. I don't care if I had 2 kids here, if I had 32 kids here. I gave them everything I had. And that just started to spread. And then results talk, and then they see the kids having results. And then it became a team thing. And then I try to sit down with all the coaches before the season, say, look, what are your needs this year? Where do you want your team? I try to make them feel included.
Sure.
And I've done a good job with that. And they became part of the furniture here, where it just got to a point where our athletic director said, no, you don't go anywhere else. You go downstairs. We invested in this, and you go downstairs.
That's what we interviewed Jason Spray. He's at a small private school. And he said, look, I'm not going to lose, my energy. I think you learn to conserve your emotions. He's like, I'm not going to get upset over kids that are going to a private coach when they could get, the same here. I'm sure he could say you could get better here, but it's, you got to focus on the kids walking through the doors. Did you ever say to the kids, John, listen, we got 6 of you. There's 50 kids on your team, 40 on your team. Can you guys go and talk? Did you ever get have the kids try to help kind of recruit the kids to show up, their teammates?
Well, I did when we were working with teams. And if I had a team in here and you'd only have half the team here, I'd say, hey guys, if we're going to win on the field, we all have to suffer together.
True.
We all have to work together. We all have to put the time in together. And they became my salesmen. You're right. They became my salesmen, and they kept bringing them in. And of course, in the beginning, it didn't hurt having some of the pro athletes in here, having Dan Cope and Gary Brackett, and them being around, and they would spread the word. They were coming in. They would lift with the kids, which they thought was neat and everything. Wow. And that helped out a whole lot too.
Yeah, very impressive. What do you got, Paul?
Coach, we love coming down for the big man competition. You know, that's something that our guys look forward to every year. How did you get that going? And what was your thought process when you first started that? And then is this something that you're going to keep doing for the next several years? Because my guys want to hear that. I'm going to share this with my guys, because the reason why I got a 75-pound and 100-pound med ball was so that we could practice the stone lifts, because we came in like 4th or 5th the first year, and our guys are like, we got to practice. Let's get the mold. I'm like, now I'll just get some med balls. So I have 2 giant med balls for that. So
well, I do have the molds if you ever need them. I have molds down here, so you can use them if you want.
How'd you get that started?
Well, you know, being a lineman my whole life, I would see in the summertime, all the skill guys would do the 7-on-7s, be all over the place. And the poor linemen had no competition at all, nothing for competition. So we started on a small level here. I did it the first year with 3 or 4 teams. And then it got huge. And then the one year, we ended up with Nottingham High School in a tie. And I was amazed because I didn't pay attention to how many people were there and everything. We were at the side of the building. We had to have a tiebreaker. So you guys all remember Zach Tharp. We had Zach Tharp, and they had their top guy. And we had a small tire, and they had a tug of war in the sand pit. And it was to death. You know, you had to go to. And I looked up on the hill. There had to be 600 people. Behind me, there had to be 500 people. But I didn't know there were that many people there, because I really didn't pay attention to all the people in the bleachers and everything. And it was all the parents, all the kids, and it was rocking. And there was a photographer there and took a video of it, and it was sharp. And the thing went on for like 5 minutes. And Zach finally won. You know, he was going to die in that sand pit if he lost. But
what a beast.
And then we decided that we were just going to keep building it. And I'd like to build it even further. I'd like to maybe take our association and maybe have something like that, or, you know, and that's why I like going down to Zach's place, because our kids need competition. Beside the regular game, they need competition where there's no fear to fail. You just go out and give everything you have. You train against somebody else. And that's why I love them. And I'd like to build them as much as I can.
Wow. And we cannot wait to just do live events. We want to do these things where we bring the kids together. We hold a strength coach conference. I cannot wait for this. I'm zoomed out.
I had this wild dream one day, Zach, and I didn't share it with you. But how's this for a fundraiser for something? We take a tire, we start at my gym, and we get about 30, 40 guys, and we flip the tire all the way to your place.
I think we'll get arrested.
We have a few connections, you know, and can you imagine doing something like that, or even for a long distance and for a charity and everything? They're the kind of things I'd like to see us do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about this big man, competition that you have. Let's segue into this. Speaking of competition, I'll be honest, my numbers are really hit and miss the past. We've been out of school for 2 weeks with COVID. We're going back Thursday. We're only allowed 9 kids in a weight room. We're so hit and miss. What are you doing now to kind of keep some sort of consistency going, not just for the training of the kids, but the emotional well-being of these kids is so crucial. Paul mentioned losing one of their athletes in the beginning of COVID. I'm not sure how. We lost a student athlete like 2 or 3 weeks in. It was like early April. to, one of our kids. And I said to myself, man, if we were just together on the regular, like we always were, it could have changed things. So what are you doing to keep consistency and keep the emotional well-being of kids going right now?
Well, one of the things that I do, and you guys know me, anybody that walks in this room is part of my family. And I treat them like family. It's not rare for me to text them, check on them, to call them and check on them. I don't care about all these rules say coaches can't text kids, can't do this with kids. What are you going to do to me? Fire me? I don't care, because you know what? It's a kid's well-being at this point. And I'm big on social media. And you go on my Facebook page, you go on Instagram. These kids, they work out at home. They send me videos.
I see it.
And I'll post the videos. But what you guys don't see is the comments. Me back. Hey, great job. Zach, way to go. Keep working hard. And they live for that, because they're missing that right now. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like we haven't missed a beat. Plus, I think one of the things that if I could really tell young coaches is be a teacher, because I think I do a good job of teaching technique and everything. So now the kids, when they've gone home, I don't think our technique has suffered that much. And I think the kids have gone out and bought a lot of equipment, does the things, and it's not a whole lot different than working in here, other than having me up your butt all the time, moving you, keeping you going and everything. But I think that constant communication, that constant, you don't let that family go away. Look, let's face reality. Life sucks sometimes. And it just, right now, we could all sit down and we could have a wine and cheese party and wine all the time. But what good's that going to do us? Okay, the good Lord gave us another day, gave me today. I'm going to use it to my best, and we're going to go out and we're going to kick butt today.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's the way I'm looking at it. Right now, it's tough because I do a 6:30 lift with my football if they're in school, but if they're not, they're working out at home. Because to get them to come back here is tough.
Yes.
Because a lot of our kids, come from a long distance and everything. Right. And our kids are taking a lot of pride. I bet you every one of our kids has purchased a pull-up bar and has one at home. So now I know that, and we can use that in our program. And I've used the Jay and John theory where, like we talk about pushing, you either bench or you do push-ups. I give them different options.
Yeah.
And they've worked hard at it. But I think the answer to your question is that I love them like they were my own sons or daughters, and they're part of my family, and they know that. They could call me any time of night, and I'm going to be available there for them.
You're the best, Coach.
That's awesome.
What, Paul, before we ask Coach McKenna for a movie or food recommendation, do you have a last question for him?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment that, I've been to several conferences with Coach. I remember the first one we went down in Georgia, and it's always the same. And I can't hear it enough. There's so much argument, and there's a lot of sometimes headbutting in our profession between 5x5, like you were talking about the other day, and that's not right, or this isn't right. And Coach always says, hey, listen, I don't have one program that I go by. We go in and we work hard every day. And to me, that's something I really, really live by all the time, is that, we can put something out on the board. We want to make sure we do it right, have great technique. The kids have energy mirrors energy in the room. And I live by that with Coach. So I really appreciate your words over the years, Coach. It's made me a better coach, but more importantly, a better man, I hope.
Well, thank you. I think the only key component that I really have in all the programs I do is called failure. Because I think if you have failure built into your program, they're going to succeed in the long run.
Yeah.
Because if you just let them come in and just pump weight around and they're not failing, they're not working real hard.
You gotta struggle.
Yeah.
You gotta fail. You gotta fail.
Right. Well, Coach, real quick, what is the time block now for a training session? Has it changed? Is it 30 minutes? Is it 45 minutes?
We go for an hour on, 15 minutes of cleaning, then another hour on. So I run 3 programs after school. And so they're an hour, 15 minutes of cleaning, and then another group comes in.
I got you. What do you, feel? Let's ask. We've been asking a little bit of sets and reps. What do sets and reps look like for your big lifts? Squatting, trap bar deadlift, those kind of big lifts.
I'm a big 5x5 guy, and you know that, Zach. I like the 5x5. I like to keep things moving. We're blessed with our racks, with our squats. We have these max out towers that someday I'd like you to come down and take a look at. They're pretty amazing. But I like to stay lower reps, and I like to hit it hard. And I think we keep our technique better by staying within the 5 and 5.
Yeah, when you start fatiguing on those big lifts, especially a younger athlete, they don't have the emotional know-how to maintain technique under fatigue. That is an advanced lifter. And we don't have advanced lifters, even if we have a high level athlete. Even I've seen Olympic athletes not know how to train in the weight room. They're a world-class athlete, but they're ranked beginner weight room, and so interesting. So I need to take a personal day. We should take a personal day and get together. And
I love it. You know that.
A professional day. A professional development day. I can't wait to, do these live events together. So Coach, this has been great. You're over at Notre Dame Prep, which is Lawrenceville, correct?
Yes, sir.
So they're right near the College of New Jersey and also Ryder, very close. And real good news, one of the kids I've been training for 3 years now is looking quite heavily at Notre Dame. And I said, oh, you're going to love Coach McKenna. I go, and now you don't got to drive 45 minutes to me.
There you go.
You could lift in school and do your stuff in school and get in and out. So I hope he makes that decision. He's a great kid, great family. And I said, when I think of you, Coach McKenna, what I think about is who would I let train my kids? Who would I want to be around my kids? I think about you. That's it.
Thank you. And both of you, I think the same thing. I said this before to you, Zach. I recommend people down that way all the time, and they say, where should I go? And I said, there's nobody better. I think we're blessed in New Jersey. I think we have a lot of good guys, but I'm with two of the best right on the screen here. So, and you know what? It's not only about being a good coach, it's about being a good person too.
That's what it's all about.
And
really.
That's what it's really all about. Are you a good person? Yes. And, I only hang around with good people. So,
you're the best.
That's just the way it is.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see you in person, give you a hug. I just can't wait to see you again. So looking forward to that. I'm going to stay on with Paul for a few more minutes.
Oh, wait a minute. You missed the movie thing.
Oh my goodness.
Come on. What? And you can't tell. Look behind me here. What do you think my movie was?
Oh, I see it.
Well, now
I'm a Rocky guy.
Yeah, but which Rocky?
Any of them. It doesn't matter. You put that music on. Now, I got to tell you what, as I've gotten older, I fell in love with the last one. Because, the old guy coming back, he came back, and fought and everything. And that, you kind of identify with every one of them. And food, give me a bowl of chili and I'll eat it all day long.
Oh,
hotter the better.
I thought you were going to say like a Philly cheesesteak. All right, chili, nice.
Chili, good. My wife makes the best chili in the world.
There's a deli near me that makes some pretty awesome chili. I think I'm going to pick it up for my son. So when he comes home, he's got a hot bowl of chili.
There you go. You put a little hot sauce in it, and everything, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Rocky and chili. I could just see it now in the bomb shelter watching Rocky 3 when Rocky's training in the tough gym and coach is just eating his chili, preparing for the next group to come in.
That's right.
What's your favorite Rocky? That's a tough one.
Oh, no, I'm a Clubber Lang guy because, Clubber Lang was just like Rocky. He's doing the pull-ups off the rafters, everything else. I don't know. I just thought that was the best one, and it was a tear at the heartstrings too when Mick passed away. So it was a tough one.
Very tough.
Hey, Zach, I want to congratulate you on becoming state director. We couldn't turn it over to a better guy. Now that Paul and I have had the chance to kind of lay the foundation for the organization. I'm going to still stay involved. So
yes, you're on our
committee
advisory. Yeah.
But man, I think we're going to go neat places. We're going to take this to another level, I think.
Well, John, our conversation last episode, I don't know if you've watched or listened, was Paul and I said it's so hard to try to help coaches in New Jersey. It's very strange, but Paul said down south, it's like such a family and brotherhood. What is going on in our Northeast where you try to help somebody and you could say, listen, I heard that, a kid decapitated himself while benching. I'd like to help. And then that coach will still say, I'm good. We got it. So what? Somebody's head flew off when we were benching. It's only one kid. Like,
Well, one of the things I think you find down south is they're mostly all school coaches.
yes,
Or up here, how many really full-time school coaches do you have?
not many.
And
But
not many, and they're private guys, and I think they get territorial. And I think we have to break that down. I think you're going to do a great job of it. We're going to help you any way you can, but I think we're going to create our own little brotherhood here. I like that picture you put up, the little mafia thing.
the Sopranos.
We're going to become our own little brotherhood here, and I think we're going to be just fine.
That's what we need. I want, a coach to be able to reach out to anybody on the advisory board and just say, listen, like, I need help with getting more kids in. Can you hop on the phone with me sometimes a coach might need a pep talk, or a coach might need to stop by and say, look, man, we've had a couple of injuries, or, my kids are too sore. What can you show me what your last week of training looked like? Yeah. Let me take a photo of my whiteboard for you. Here's the sets and reps. Here's why this warming up that we do is important. I want them to feel they could reach out to us and then take something, plug it into their program that day, and just be like, man, that was great. And now it's better for the kids. Everything I want it to always come full circle of what is the best thing to do for the kids. Let's keep doing the best thing for the kids. And that's it. It's super cut and dry for me.
I love what you said. Let's keep those whiteboards going, because that's a dying thing anymore. And I've got 3 or 4 of them in here. I love a whiteboard, and I'm not a big computer guy. So, hey guys, thank you for having me on.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Coach.
Here for you. Any coach in the state of New Jersey, any coach anywhere, reach out to me, McKenna at ndnj.org. Willing to help you. My legacy, I want it to be that I left this profession a little bit better than it was before. So that's my goal. Guys, have a great day, and thank you.
Coach. See you, Coach.
Take care.
See you, buddy. Paul, hang tight. There we go. Wow. Great times with Coach. That guy is all heart.
Oh.
That's it.
And if you visit him, you got to bring him a bowl of chili now.
That's the way to his heart.
I know.
He couldn't pinpoint which Rocky was his favorite. And it's tough. The Rocky IV montage, I was in like 3rd grade when that came out, maybe 5th grade. And that's crazy that montage is still fire. But I love, Mickey told Rocky, he's like, Rock, you did so good for yourself. You got this beautiful house, the money, the cars. He's like, but the worst thing that could happen to a fighter is you get civilized.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think that was the beginning of Rocky IV. Well, maybe it was Rocky III.
Yeah, that was Clubber. That was
Clubber Lang. And so, he knew that. I take that to heart, is that training does need to be tough. It doesn't have to destroy the kids, but it's got to challenge them. And look, tough might simply be, farmer walks and sleds for 3 sets. That might be tough enough for what an athlete needs. And like Coach McKenna said, he emphasizes the work. He likes to move around. And then you talk to somebody like Jim Wendler, they squat and then they superset it with incline dumbbell bench and chest supported row. That's a lot of tough work.
Yeah.
Doing a heavy lift with those 2 supplemental lifts, sets of 10. I did it yesterday at my gym. We did squats. This is the end of our 3rd week, a 3-week cycle. We squat, incline dumbbell bench, and then body weight pull, which could be a rope climb. I say if you could get more than 10 or 12 pull-ups, you got to do at least 1 set weighted pull-ups. And then some of our heavier kids, or even a middle school athlete, might do 1 or 2 pull-ups and then they'll go and like pump out the remainder on a recline row, inverted row.
Nice.
So great stuff talking with Coach McKenna. We got, everybody watching, listening. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. You could leave a review. That's going to help us spread the word. And of course, go to nhssca.us, become a member. And if you're in New Jersey, send us an email, reach out to Paul, myself, John. We've got Mark Rosamilia over at Middletown High School North, John Torrey at Princeton, who has no weight room. He's training the athletes outside. So he's really making it happen. So we've got all the kind of geographical areas of New Jersey. Please reach out to us and introduce yourself when you get into the Facebook group, and then visit our sponsors. I'll leave it at this. In my observation, my principal said, Zach, do you have some sort of a plan, like a map of what the upgrades to the weight room will look like? And he said, I'd like to include that. And he said, make sure you include pictures. So I look, I see who our sponsors are, and I look at like, here's, we're going to get turf on the first year because we need to keep it clean and we need better flooring and we want to be able to have sleds inside. And here's a photo of a weight room with turf and equipment down the perimeter. Then the next year we're going to get a rig, and here's what that looks like with new dumbbells up to 50 pounds. The next year, squat racks on the other side. I took photos of those squat racks and photos of dumbbells. And he's like, man, this is beautiful. He's like, this is amazing. This is what I wanted to see. And he's the one that gave me the idea. But the Board of Education wants to see where is this thing going? What is strength and conditioning? Is it the same as going to Retro Fitness or Planet Fitness? They don't know. You need to educate the decision makers. And, little by little, like our buddy Jason said, he ironically did equipment first, then flooring. Normally we do flooring first, but he has good flooring right now. So he said you can't overdo it in one shot.
Yeah.
It was very good.
And you're right on the money. It's the Board of Education and the community too, because that it's public record. So they're going to see where money's being spent, and they're going to show up and they're going to voice their opinion as well. And going back to that connection piece, you have that connection in the community. They're going to realize and believe that what they're spending their money on is going to be the best for their sons and daughters. That's what it comes down to.
Is this going to benefit my children and family members? And that's also why a good reason to get your stuff on Instagram, so parents could see what you're doing. So very good. Paul, any closing remarks before we shut it down on episode 3?
No, just if you're watching, leave the comments with us and let us know some topics you want to hear about. We're going to try and get the best people on, but we want to talk about what you want to hear. So let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody say they haven't let us know what they want to hear.
No.
The people have not spoken yet. So maybe a local high school coach running the weight room in New Jersey could send an email and let us know, or get into the Facebook group. That's an easy way for us to see it. What topic do you want us to really zone in on? And that's it, guys. We will catch you next time. Keep doing the best that you can for the kids. That's always what's number one. If you do that in your heart, you'll make the right decisions for the kids, and you'll be inspired to educate yourself and become better. So again, thanks from National High School Strength Coaches Association. On behalf of Paul and myself, boom. We'll talk to you guys next time. Hold on, Paul.